Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark Pennak, President Maryland, shall issue. We are in support of 664 and against 737 and 882. Mr. Chairman, I have the answer to your question you asked the panel earlier today. Is there any way to do a background check on private sales? And yes, there is. You will have to duplicate the entire 77R process because private sales are not regulated by the Brady Act. That means the state police can't do a NICS check. That means the dealer can't do a NICS check. You have my written testimony on why that is so. Simply read the regulations. The FBI, and you have a letter attached to my written testimony that says that the FBI will not do a NICS check for a dealer if it's not covered by the Brady Act. So if you want to have the state police do a search of state databases, which is what they do with the 77R on private transfers for handguns, then you may do that, but that's going to cost a lot more than $12 million. It's going to cost huge sums because that's very manpower intensive. And I would invite questions about this statutory system. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony and for your all the time you give very good detailed information. And I say that even though we tend to be on the same side of a lot of issues, but I think the committee would agree you give us very good, sound, sort of legal analysis. So in order for the discussion earlier today was talking about how you could set up some sort of private system of background checks. So in your opinion, would you have to have the gun owner that's going to transfer it to somebody else or sell it to somebody else have to surrender it to an FFL? Is that the way you would be able to do it?
There is no question that the private dealer, the FFL, would have to take physical possession of it. He would also have to hold on to it for 7 days under this bill because after taking possession, it's his. It's part of his inventory. He may not do a NICS check without doing that.
How long does he have to have possession of it?
Because under this bill, the transfer can't take place for 7 days, which means he's going to have to store it for 7 days. Long guns are big. He's going to have costs of expense. And most dealers will not do this because they don't know Joe Smith and Tom Jones coming to them. They may not even know whether the gun is hot.
What's the reason for the 7-day hold now? Because you can do a NICS check relatively quickly. What's the reason?
It's incomprehensible to me why you need a 7-day hold. NICS check is within minutes.
Okay. And I just make a statement, Mr. Chairman. You talked about testimony earlier. So for everybody listening, both pro and con, we're all sitting here and we're reading the testimony. So definitely, I know a minute's tough for everybody, but give us your testimony because I've been reading through it all day. I know my colleagues have too. So on both sides, I read both. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Brady.
Coming in. So, you know, the proponents of the bill, I mean, there's a valid concern where if I'm going to transfer you a weapon, it would be nice to know whether you just were issued a restraining order or something like that. And I'm having trouble understanding why. I mean, I can sit here at my computer right now and in seconds call up your court records and all that in the state. And I understand the federal stuff. They got their regulations, which we're apparently unable to make use of, and that sounds like a terrible quagmire. But isn't there wouldn't it work? Isn't there something out there we can do to at least address the concerns where I'm going to transfer a shotgun to somebody, but before I do that, I have to at least make some kind of a computer search or something? Isn't there a database or something through that we can do this without?
I'm glad you asked that question, Senator, because what the state police do now is the only alternative you have, and the state police do not make their 77R 17 databases available to a dealer because they are the point of contact for handguns, and all that stuff goes through the dealer and all the way through to the state police. On a dealer sale, they can do the NICS check, but on private sales, state police can't even do a NICS check, so they have to consult all 17 databases. You would have to make that available somehow instantaneously to some party, state police, to do for you. Now, the state police will probably tell you they can't do it instantaneously, and I think that's correct. Right. So you're taking some sort of delay that they've asked for 7 days. That's what a 77R process is now for a state check of those 17 databases. So I doubt that they can do it much faster than that. They might be able to now, but I tend to doubt it. So no, the answer is no because the state police can't do it.
But again, when you say that, you keep talking. We're going to do a full NICS check, and
no, Senator. They can't do a NICS check at all. They have to. The only databases they can check are the 17 state databases.
Okay, and those are not all linked. You can't. They just can't.
I don't believe that they are. They say they need 7 days to do that.
It just seems preposterous to me that that I couldn't go into a database and real quick just make sure that you didn't just have a restraining order issued against you, or a red flag order issued against you, or.
As far as I know, Senator, it is not possible, because that would take an enormous amount of money to bring the state databases up to the standard of the NICS database run by the FBI.
I'm not trying to bring it up to the NICS. I understand.
But the state can't do it right now, and they don't have the funding to do that. They have not automated it to the point where they can do those 17 data checks.
It just sounds to me sort of like we're trying to let the perfect become the enemy of the good, where if we can at least establish for people in Maryland that you can do a quick check just to say, I mean, because protective orders would show up and things like that, to say that at least have that level of comfort. I realize you may be a terrorist and the CIA is following you. It's not going to show up in that. I got it. The NICS base would probably show all that stuff, but.
I understand the frustration, Senator. I understand it completely. I think the best question is to ask that very question to the state police. What would it take for them to do an instant background check? And I will suspect that they will tell you the same thing they've told me over the years: 7 days.
Yeah. Okay.
And a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate it. You're always very helpful.
Thank you.
All right.